On Facebook. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us once again. I am your host, Tyler Keefe, welcoming you in on TV, on the radio, and of course across our social media, Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as YouTube, X, and Instagram at Civic Center TV. Our top story as we begin this new week comes off of the big game on Super Bowl Sunday, and one of our very own from back in the day right here in Greater West Bloomfield helped kick it all off. The lead referee on their officiating team, Ron Torbert, used to be among us right here in West Bloomfield Township. He took the field as the lead referee, as he has in many of the biggest games throughout the NFL season, leading the officiating crew as the Philadelphia Eagles made their way to earning the Lombardi Trophy, ending the two-year reign of the Kansas City Chiefs in a blowout matchup in New Orleans. Congratulations to Ron for being in such a big game on the biggest stage on the globe in sports in February. And of course, I want to give a shout out too to his wife Melanie, who in her time here in West Bloomfield helped to lead the Michigan Week Committee as well. Such great news to see that as we're watching the game on Sunday. See someone very familiar to us right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Earlier on that weekend, on Friday night, a very fun evening at Glen Oaks Golf Course as people got together for arguably the best cause of all, helping our kids and helping our teachers in the classroom. Our very own Jake Schaff has the story.
It's always great odds to take a chance on having some fun. And that's exactly what so many people did here recently at the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation's Casino Night right here at Glen Oaks Golf Course. An incredible night of fun, games, and charity as so many people from the community came out not only to have a great time, but to benefit an incredible cause.
Oh, this is an amazing event, and supporting the West Bloomfield District and the foundation, and putting all our efforts into this beautiful event, and seeing a lot of people here and getting together. That's amazing. The support just fulfills, it makes us feel very proud of supporting the community, the education, everything all together, coming us together, one to support and help for sure.
It is so much fun. It's so nice to support the West Bloomfield Education Foundation, and it's such a fun night. And you know that you're generating money that's going to really make a difference. And it's a time when the community can just come together to celebrate and enjoy. The last couple of years have been hard for a lot of members of our community, and it's just so nice to see them out having fun and just having a good time and gambling when it's not really gambling, so you're not doing anything wrong, and just relaxing and having a good time. And the music is really good too.
Well, it's really amazing as state representative for the Greater West Bloomfield area to be here to support our educators, to support our schools. It's a really critical mission for me as state representative to be supporting public education, supporting the education of our best and brightest, to make sure that they have the rights, resources, and opportunities to go as far as their talents and ambitions will take them. That's why I'm here to support this mission. I think it speaks to the principle of how much we care about our education here in this community and how much we care about our kids and our teachers.
The thing that's so exciting about tonight is that everyone is here to support education. The money raised tonight goes directly back towards teacher grants, which fulfill needs that they want in their classrooms. It helps us fill those pieces that just don't come out of the general budget. It helps teachers to dream and kids to enjoy fun, hands-on learning experiences. There's just so much good that comes from this evening, and we couldn't be more grateful for all of the people that came out to support.
We have over 200 participants. We've had a lot of walk-ins today, and everyone is loving the fact that they can gamble for chips and turn it in for really great raffle prizes. We have amazing silent auction items, and we are raising a lot of money for the West Bloomfield School District. It's great. It's an important event because we know that when we have great school districts, we have people who live, work, and stay in the area. And that's good for us, and it's good for you. It's good for everyone.
Well, they do so much good for the community and the kids, right? Because it's all about the schools and the kids. So it's important to be able to support the efforts and make sure that West Bloomfield has all the resources it needs. And we do have great schools and great teachers, and now more resources for the kids.
The best kinds of nights are the ones where you're doing something great for yourself and for so many people along the way. And it's always incredible to see just what the Educational Foundation has in store to benefit everyone here in Greater West Bloomfield. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Great story from Jake, and a great evening for people of Greater West Bloomfield who came out to Glen Oaks Golf Course to support the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. They do such great work all throughout the year to support our classrooms. You'll see many of those support systems that come through, the games, the toys, the books, and so many other resources that teachers get through those grants. We'll show you pictures all throughout the year, and we know they make a massive impact. So if you couldn't get out to casino night, but you still want to help the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation, you can do that right now as we speak. Donations always open for people in the community on WBEF.org. Before the big game on the gridiron over the weekend, sports history made its way to the stage at West Bloomfield High School as students performed Jackie Robinson Steals Home, a story about how back in 1947, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Student-ran and student-led production, the ensemble on stage, and the directorial team behind the scenes, the stupendous Sidney Morgan and Joy Green, serving as director and assistant director for this production. Take a look at the full cast, a major ensemble of students leading this charge as they told an incredible story, one of the greatest stories in the history of sports, a true trailblazer as we get into the early portions of Black History Month. Just before the students took the stage with this production over the weekend, we sent our Kevin McIntosh out to West Bloomfield High School to learn even more and get a behind-the-scenes look at how the students were taking a front row seat, learning history and performing at the theater.
I'm here at West Bloomfield High School, where student actors are not only rehearsing lines, but also diving deep into the legacy of Jackie Robinson. As they prepare for opening night, they are also gaining insight into his impact on baseball and the civil rights movement, and discovering lessons that still resonate today.
So Amiri Baraka says that the artist's role is to raise the consciousness of the people, to make them more aware of themselves and the world around them. And my genuine hope is that the students do that, is that they are more conscious of themselves and the world that wasn't the same. You know, even just 50 years ago or even just 20 years ago, everything is changing and it's ever changing. And I hope that they just, you know, continue to hold on to their light, never dimming it for anyone, and continue to shine bright.
Through Robinson's legacy, students learn resilience and empathy, inspiring them to shine brighter in their performances and lives together.
I actually learned a lot about Jackie Robinson. I learned his relationship with Joe Louis, you know, how they met, how they're friends, and mainly just how to show this relationship with the actor that's playing Jackie Robinson.
What I learned about Jackie Robinson is that when he was first told that he has the opportunity to join the MLB, he didn't even want to do it because he understood how hard it was and how much of a risk and how much danger that could put him and his wife in. His family was getting death threats. It's not like he was doing this for himself. He was doing it for the generations after him. So seeing that type of stuff, you just have much more respect for him.
Robinson's legacy teaches students about courage and community, inspiring them to work independently and collaboratively to enrich our community.
We're teaching students about a number of things, including working both independently and in groups and creating art for people to view and enrich our community.
Through art, students share Robinson's story, making viewers feel part of an inspiring journey.
If you're someone who's just a viewer, right, and in the audience, you're learning things about Jackie Robinson that you may have not learned about him, but from watching it in a very fun and exciting way, you know? And you kind of like are a part of the process and with it and enjoying it. And I hope that everyone feels that when they see the show.
Watching the play, audiences truly connect with Robinson's experiences, giving the younger generation a deeper understanding of history through storytelling.
When you actually see it happening in real time on stage, you could feel what Jackie felt, even if it's for a moment. And I feel like that's something that history class or any factual history textbook, wherever you get your historical information at, I don't think that it could provide that experience. And so I feel like kids being able to learn about civil rights and activism, stuff like that, they could have a deeper sense of why those are important and why we can't go back to those times.
I think it's very important because sometimes, like when you're reading in a book, obviously you're not really going to pay that much attention. But like when you see it being brought out onto like a big stage or like just seeing it in a movie, like if you saw a movie about somebody, you're more likely to remember than just reading like a 300-page book. So that's why I like having to convey characters in storytelling.
Through their performance, these students are not only telling the story of Jackie Robinson, they're also learning what it means to stand up for what's right. It's clear that this experience will have a lasting impact not only for the cast, but for the audience as well. From West Bloomfield High School, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Center TV.
Fantastic story, Kevin, and a fantastic performance from the kids over the weekend in Jackie Robinson Steele's home. The show is now over, unfortunately, so if you missed it, it's too late at this point. But there's plenty more coming up in the theater, including just in a couple of months in May, Matilda, based off of the novel by Roald Dahl, will be on the stage at West Bloomfield High School. In fact, auditions soon to be underway as well. So if your kids are interested or you just want to mark your calendars for those show days, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at West Bloomfield High School, go ahead and follow them as we speak on Instagram at West Bloomfield Theater. That's West Bloomfield Theater, ending in RE. Very accomplished kids on the stage doing amazing things at West Bloomfield High School, and there's so many other kids all across the community doing incredible things each and every day in their schoolwork, in their volunteer work, and all throughout the community. You can nominate them for awards based on that work right now through West Bloomfield Youth Assistance. Every year in the late spring, they have their Youth Recognition Awards, and nominations are open for this year's cycle on WBYouthAssistance.org. Now through March 26th, nominate students from within the boundaries of the West Bloomfield School District, and as they must live in the West Bloomfield School District or be a student in the West Bloomfield School District in order to be eligible for these different awards. They have plenty of different categories that will all be explained to you, and then later on in the year, around May, we'll see these kids get those awards as well. Again, that is all on WBYouthAssistance.org. We have some incredibly accomplished kids in our community that are doing amazing things to help you and I and everyone else in between each and every day. With the NFL season coming to a close, we saw so many athletes from all over the United States make a big impact on the gridiron in Super Bowl 59. And that did not include athletes from West Bloomfield, but as it stands, we have 3 West Bloomfield High School alums on active NFL rosters as we conclude the 2024 season. Those are Matthew Judon, who currently is playing for the Atlanta Falcons after being traded earlier on in the season from the New England Patriots. Tristan Jackson, a former quarterback at West Bloomfield High School, who previously played for the Chargers, spent most of the season with the Minnesota Vikings as one of their key wide receivers. And then the latest to join the the NFL family is Javon Foster, drafted in 2024, back in April at the NFL draft, to the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he just completed his rookie season. But pretty soon, that number is going to go from 3 to upwards of 10 athletes from West Bloomfield High School playing in the National Football League. Perhaps is going to be the case after this year's NFL draft. A handful of Lakers have their names in the ring this year, and scouts are already reaching out to our coaching staff at WB to learn more about these players' pasts as they consider putting them in their NFL futures. Joining us now on the program for more insight into this incredible process is head coach of the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team, Zach Hilbers, joining us on the Splash Live. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to have you on with this good news from our athletes who we always knew had the potential to get to this point. But now with Tyrone Broden and Donovan Edwards on the doorstep of a professional football career, what's your initial reaction to them being able to be in a position to possibly get drafted into the National Football League?
Yeah, it's really exciting because we know for a lot of times we've known these kids for a really long time. In addition to those two, like Mac Harrison just finished up in Kentucky. He was with us ever since he was a little baby, it feels like. Lance Dixon, who's at Toledo, they'll have really good shots as well. Makari Page, who's a safety at Michigan. Yeah. So we got 5 at least that I think have a really good chance, at least this draft cycle. And it's just so cool. They were running around here not too long ago with these big dreams of getting to this moment and be this close. I don't know. It's kind of neat to see.
Everybody sort of looks at Donovan Edwards, and even back in his high school days, they looked at a player like Donovan and said, he's got the NFL in his sights, almost guaranteed going forward. But maybe they didn't take as strong of a look at guys like Tyrone Broden, Makari Page, Maxwell Hairston, both who have been stars in their own right at the collegiate level, too. What should people know about those kids and the legacy that they left at West Bloomfield High School and the kind of players they've become at the collegiate level?
To kind of speak on what you said, you're right. Donovan was kind of pegged as this guy who's got a real good shot to make it from a young age. So I think for him to realize potential and get there is a great testament to his work ethic because, it's tough when you're 15 and 16 years old and everybody tells you how great you're going to be to, I guess, stay motivated and keep your goals, focused on your goals and to do everything it takes to get where he's got. So he deserves a ton of credit for that. Some of those other guys, kind of the other side of it, that might have not have thought when they were here in high school they would get to this point, and they used it as, I guess, motivation to get where they are. They all got their own strengths, but I guess the common theme throughout is that they never lost faith or belief in their goal, and they worked really hard to get where they're at.
Zach Hilbers is with us, the varsity football coach at West Bloomfield High School, as 5 of his athletes are looking to go into the NFL draft in the coming months. And already, a really cool moment happened recently, and the West Bloomfield football team posted this on their Instagram page. We have a picture of a couple of forms that were sent to the team by the Green Bay Packers. They sent scouting forms out to learn more about the West Bloomfield High School athletes. They want to get some background on them, and once we have those pictures, we'll put those up. But Coach, how cool was it for you to get those messages from professional teams, especially with the prestige of the Green Bay Packers, to learn about some of these guys that you got to know at an early age?
Yeah, it's definitely first time I got one from them specifically. It was for Matt Judon, so years ago when he was finishing at Grand Valley, and it's kind of like a pinch you moment. Like, oh my gosh, this is actually real. And what's kind of cool is that each franchise kind of does things their own way. The Packers will send out questionnaires that we fill out, help out as best they can, and we mail them back to them. Some people will give you a phone call. Some organizations give you a phone call and just want to run stuff by you. Some people just show up here unannounced because they want to hear like the honest truth. They don't want you to, I guess, prepare any kind of narrative about the kids. They'll just show up at the school door, sit down and just ask questions about the guys. So it's kind of crazy, I guess, the depths of the detail that those franchises go through, just kind of doing their homework and background check. And I read these to the kids in our program now. Like, this is the Green Bay Packers 5 years later asking, did these kids show up to class on time? Were they active in their school? Were they ever a discipline problem? Like, all the stuff you tell them is important kind of makes a little bit more of a reality.
Yeah, it does, especially when they're looking toward possibly drafting these players, which in some cases can guarantee you a roster spot or virtually guarantee you a roster spot at the NFL level, or at the very least, give you a chance to compete for a roster, and these teams want to see that. Coach Hilbers, not only are NFL teams, you mentioned some of them just pop in at the high school to talk to you and talk to your staff about these players. We know recently college coaches making their final run at some of their the players they're looking to recruit, visiting West Bloomfield High School over the past week. So as you have these NFL teams sending you letters, showing up, doing interviews with you and your coaching staff, past and present, about these players, and these collegiate coaches, some of them really big names, walking through the halls of West Bloomfield High School, how does that further emphasize, as you kind of alluded to, that message you give to your players when you're practicing and playing during the regular season, but also as they're training and they're preparing in the offseason?
Well, I guess it shows that the dreams can be a reality, although it's not easy. It doesn't happen on the timeline you always want it, but the opportunity is still there. And it's something I guess we're really proud that we offer, is that, you know, if you do things the right way and you're good enough, you're going to have a chance, like a real chance. And I guess it's sad, but not really true of everywhere. And it's just one thing we're really proud of. January, like you mentioned, really, really busy month. Colleges are back home from the road right now, and they're not allowed to go out and visit us again until April or so. So it should be a little bit quieter for a little bit, at least in terms for us. But yeah, it's definitely an additional motivating factor, because they can literally see first person that it's there.
And this is one of those exciting moments, too, for these kids that have potential to go to the next level, and they see guys that, in some cases, they may have played with or may have watched at the varsity level as freshman players or as middle school players, more likely at this point in time, like Makari Page, Tyrone Broden, Maxwell Hairston, Donovan Edwards, certainly all going to the next level. Thinking about those kids that are entering the NFL draft, having known them, having been an assistant coach for many of them back in their day at West Bloomfield High School, what about those kids do you think will make them successful at the NFL level?
I guess it's kind of different for each of them, and this way it probably should be. But a commonality between them all is that they all work pretty hard. And it's not like, I know it's a cliche to throw out there, but you look at them each individually, they always had a really, I guess, tight vision and a goal of how to get to where they need to be. And for some of them, like Max and Donovan and Makari, it was always at one institution in college. A couple bounced around to a couple different ones, but regardless of where they were on that journey, the goal was still the goal. And it's at least attainable for them still, which is, incredible to say when you look at the statistics and the odds to get where they are. Even if you're good enough, it's really, really hard. So, we're just pulling for them, and, we got their back with whatever happens.
Well, Coach, congratulations to you, to your team, to your program, and especially our congratulations. Yeah, big congratulations to the entire team at West Bloomfield High School for these players getting into the NFL. It's rare to have several players in the NFL, let alone nearly 10 players all at once potentially being in the league, with Tristan Jackson, with Javon Foster, with Matthew Judon already there. And I look at this list of players who all had a number of accomplishments at the collegiate level. I know they all work extremely hard, which means even if they don't get drafted, they have a very high chance of making it to a practice squad, a training camp roster, and working hard throughout the preseason and getting on these rosters. Those players: Tyrone Broden out of the University of Arkansas, Lance Dixon out of West Virginia University, Maxwell Hairston, a prolific defensive back, best hands in the land, as I always called him at WB, out of Kentucky. And then, of course, the two stars from the University of Michigan, a couple of national champions in Makari Page and Donovan Edwards. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, from our football heroes to our heroes in blue, taking the plunge for a very good cause. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Policing is an excellent career. We all have a role and responsibility to provide public safety. Here in the MSP, we have a great and wonderful opportunity. As a trooper, everybody starts in the patrol car. But after a couple of years, we have a dive team. We have an emergency support team. We have troopers that are flying helicopters. You can move over into our forensic science division where you're working in the labs. We have detective sergeants, detective troopers. We just provide so many opportunities. And I tell troopers all the time, you will never get bored working for the MSP. It's important that we are engaged in our communities. We have to listen to what they want, and we adapt to make sure that we are providing excellent service. Policing is a very rewarding career. It has been for me for 25 years. I would not have picked another profession because I've enjoyed it.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent, West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
What people are watching in West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. Also encouraging you to always stay with us on social media, Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as YouTube, Instagram, and on X at Civic Center TV. Here in Greater West Bloomfield, so many of our heroes doing things each and every day to be helpful outside of the line of duty, and that includes some of our newest officials in the West Bloomfield Police Department, including our police service aides. Julio Lopez is a police service aide at the West Bloomfield Police Department, and in just a couple of weeks, he'll be heading to participate in the Oakland County Polar Plunge, all in support of the Special Olympics of Michigan. He joins us now on The Splash Live to tell us even more about this upcoming experience. Julio, hello.
How's it going?
Doing all right. How are you doing today?
Not too bad.
All right. So we know that your plans are to participate in the 2025 Oakland County Polar Plunge to help support a very worthy cause, Special Olympics of Michigan. You normally you're on solid land each and every day helping out our friends over at the West Bloomfield Police Department, but pretty soon you're going to be diving into some of the coldest waters in Michigan. Why?
Well, I've actually done it a few times, and I've worked with Special Olympics and some of their past things that I could volunteer in, such as their sporting events, and I've kind of grown a special place in my heart for Special Olympics. What they do is pretty amazing, and the people that you interact with Special Olympics, they're all amazing people, and yeah.
And so not only are you taking the polar plunge to raise awareness for Special Olympics and the great things that they do here in Greater West Bloomfield and Oakland County and beyond, but you're also raising some funds for that as well. What's your goal and where are you at as we speak today?
Right now, we're about 75% of the way to that goal. I think this is the first time that West Bloomfield Police has created a team to do this polar plunge. So, of course, it's not going to be a huge thing, but I'm just trying to start it off pretty small.
And there's more information on how you can participate from the community, donate to this cause, support Julio before the polar plunge or even during and after. Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. Julio Lopez is with us, police service aide at the West Bloomfield Police Department. And Julio, this is a really cool way to kind of get involved in the community, support a good cause, and provide a different kind of support to the people that you and your colleagues at the police department are serving each and every day. In your opinion, how does something like this sort of align really perfectly with the overall mission of police officers and certainly their police service aides in West Bloomfield?
The people that Special Olympics supports, they need motivation to do the sports, to do the things that Special Olympics is offering. And I think that having law enforcement involved kind of sets them to believe that they can do so much, because, we are seen as, police officers. We're seen as people that people look up to as heroes. And I think having their heroes do this with them and do this for them encourages Special Olympics and the people that Special Olympics supports.
And so around this point of the year, and as you head toward mid-February, water temperatures in some of Michigan's lakes can be in the low single digits, or even at or below freezing. And so it's going to be extremely cold temperature to jump into a lake this time of the year, even for something that's warm and fuzzy like the good cause of Special Olympics for the polar plunge. So how are you preparing for taking that jump? I know you've done it before, and it can't be any easier the second, third, fourth time, and so on.
No, it actually gets harder every time you do it, because you know how cold it is, and you know how much of a struggle it is afterwards. And preparing for it, it's all mental. You just gotta not think about how cold it is, and have some people go in front of you so that you can kind of see the reaction and see what the outcome of it is after you go jumping in.
Julio Lopez is with us, police service aide with the West Bloomfield Police Department. He will be participating in the Oakland County Polar Plunge coming up very soon, and looking to raise some money as well in the process to help Special Olympics, as he and the team at the West Bloomfield Police do raise awareness for them at this time of the year. More information on the fundraiser, on the Polar Plunge, and how you can cheer on Julio can be found on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. And so far, how has the police community within the West Bloomfield Police Department and the greater community responded after learning that you're going to go jump into a cold lake for a good cause coming up pretty soon?
I'd say they've helped raise about like half the funds that we've created so far, and I think it's a great thing. I know it's pretty small right now, but I think it's a great thing that people in our community notice this and know that it's for a good cause and are willing to donate some money for us.
And so beyond financial contributions, what would you like the community to know about how they can get involved and support smaller initiatives, or even support something that's kind of on a larger scale like Special Olympics of Michigan?
Well, this polar plunge is actually not only for just law enforcement, but for anybody. Law enforcement jump is separate than the civilian jump. So they too could jump in the polar plunge, create their own team, gather some people that are willing to jump in a very cold lake and help support this cause.
More information, again, can be found on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. They made an entire post about Julio's intention to jump into that lake as part of the Polar Plunge. You can find that, cheer him on, and find out ways that you can contribute to the cause as he supports and raises money for the Special Olympics of Michigan. And looking ahead as you continue on as a police service aide and get further into this career path of yours, how are you looking at maybe some other ways that you can jump into community events and initiatives and help raise more awareness for some of these organizations that are helping everyday people every day, like you and your colleagues are doing?
A lot. I've been volunteering for this type of stuff for a long time, even before my choice in going to law enforcement. So I will always be looking for opportunities to help anybody. And I think working in law enforcement kind of helps me do that, because they too are willing to help volunteer for anything, and opens the door to so many things that I can do for my community.
So if people are looking forward to this, maybe they want to help participate, maybe they want to participate themselves, can you give any information about when they can maybe expect to see you in this Polar Plunge, and if they want to come out there, cheer you on, cheer the other law enforcement officers and officials that will be participating on, or join in themselves, when they can expect to have that happen and add it to their calendars?
Yeah, so the jump is February 22nd. I believe law enforcement jumps at 11 a.m. We're getting there around 10 a.m. to sign in and everything. But if you want to see, not just
Thanks so much for having me.
Apologies for some technical issues there. We appreciate Julio for joining us on the Splash Live to tell us more about the Polar Plunge. As he said, they will be participating on Saturday, February 22nd at the Oakland County Polar Plunge. There are polar plunges all across the state of Michigan supporting Special Olympics of Michigan. Julio and the team at the West Bloomfield Police Department, just some of the many law enforcement officers, public safety officers, and so many others from across the state participating in this year's event to help a very worthy cause in Special Olympics of Michigan. Their fundraising efforts are still ongoing. West Bloomfield PD on Facebook is their handle for more information and to get a direct link to their donation link as well. They've raised hundreds of dollars already so far for this amazing cause. You can show them your support, make a donation, or just comment to cheer them on as well. Again, Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. Coming up very soon at the 2025 Black Expo, we'll see a number of different business owners and other entrepreneurs from across the Greater West Bloomfield area present their businesses and their products to all the people of Greater West Bloomfield, and that includes local authors, including familiar faces such as Jabulani McAllister, the senior pastor at Covenant Baptist Church, who will be presenting his new book, Hope Beyond Hope. He joins us now to tell us even more about this book. Pastor, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on to talk about Hope Beyond Hope. It's an interesting tale that you're telling in here as you hope to bring people closer to their faith in our community, whether they practice Christianity or not. And it's an interesting way that you go about this. So give us a little bit of background information on what goes into Hope Beyond Hope.
So I recognized that it was so many people that were going through a lot of different things. And as you pointed out, whether they were a part of my faith tradition as a Christian or not, I wanted them to find a way to get closer in their faith walk on their own. Because I did not grow up in church. A lot of people assume that because I've been a pastor for so long and because I've followed Christ for so long, but I didn't. And so as you alluded to, I give some introductory remarks in the book about my faith journey and how I was impacted by that. And so I try to remember that when I'm approaching others who want to draw closer to God and try to figure out how to make it through this day-to-day thing. You know, it's not always super spiritual, but a spiritual base and foundation helps you make it through everyday challenges.
And so you wrote in your overview passage about this book, you said, quote, "I pray that as you journey with me these 21 days, that my stories and testimonies coupled with the scriptures and prayers will deepen your faith in a way that it will never be permanently shaken again." So are you taking people on a sort of day-by-day journey as they go through this book? Is that kind of what I'm getting out of this correctly?
Yes, it's a 21-day devotional. People always ask, Pastor, why 21 days? Well, people have short attention span these days, and it takes 3 weeks, 21 days, to develop a new habit. And so day by day is a different devotional that leads them on a journey from the spirit to hope, and hopefully helping them with some different prayer prompts at the end of the devotionals to help them find their own way back to hope, no matter what happens in their life.
Pastor Jabulani McAllister is with us, the senior pastor at Covenant Baptist Church in West Bloomfield. He just released his new book, Hope Beyond Hope. You can pick up a copy, get him signed, and talk to him about his 21-day devotional at the 2025 Black Expo. More information on that event through the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force can be found on wbparks.org. And Pastor, this is a really interesting way to bring this together. As you said, you're sort of trying to help people form habits as it relates to their faith, but even beyond that, whether they are a devout Christian or they've sort of lost track of their Christian faith, or if they don't even practice Christianity, people can get a lot out of these stories through that 21 days that goes beyond what they would get in the church or get from even just practicing their faith in a traditional sense.
For sure, because many people, these days, they've lost their faith and well, not their faith, but they've lost interest in going to a physical building, for example. And so we try to find creative ways to help people connect, whether they come inside the church building or not. Because we found that in my faith tradition, when I look at it in the scriptures, Jesus always went to where people were and met them where they were in a non-judgmental way and helped them and walked alongside them. And so that's what my attempt is in sharing with them this material to kind of help them plug into that and not trying to force them to believe what I believe, but help them to be sure about what they believe and stand firm on that so they're not shaken and when life happens.
So there's a number of different reasons to write a book, especially a devotional book for someone that is in our faith community. So why this book and why right now?
Well, I think this book, again, as the title says, is hope beyond hope. So sometimes people can start off very hopeful, very inspired. And then some trauma or something will happen in their life and they'll just give up. And so I thought that this was important to understand that you can still hold on to it. So when you get to your last hopeful moment, you can go beyond that as you walk daily with your relationship with God. And especially in times like these, people are so divided on different things. I want people to know that you can disagree without being disagreeable. You can still hold on to what you believe in, but you can still respect other people's faith as well, their journeys as well, and come alongside each other to inspire each other to hold on to not only their faith, but their hope, and that they can make it through any challenge. Because once you have that foundation, it doesn't matter what happens. You can understand how important it is to never give up.
Jablani McAllister is with us, senior pastor at Covenant Baptist Church. His new book, Hope Beyond Hope, will be available for you to pick up and get a signed copy at the 2025 Black Expo. That is coming up at the Orchard Mall Saturday, February 22nd, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. More information on that can be found at wbparks.org/diversity. And Jablani, as we continue to talk about what people may get out of this book, what you hope people do ultimately take from this book, how does it connect to sort of the work, or the purpose of the work, better yet, that you do each and every day, each and every week as one of our faith leaders here in Greater West Bloomfield?
Well, it connects because, as I said, people will not necessarily come on a Sunday morning to worship or a Bible study, things like that. But this may inspire them to do that. And one of the things that's important, I think, is community. And we all need it, whether we admit it or not. We all want it. And I think that it connects to that work because, like, when we reach people with our emergency food pantry, we reach them with the Bible study that we have. So it's practical things linked with faith. Because I believe that once you finish praying, then it's time to roll up your sleeves and get to work.
And so how do you believe that after these 21 days of stories, after they get through your book, that people will be able to, whether they're utilizing these newfound skills, this newfound hope through their faith or just through new day-to-day habits, how do you hope that they spread this message maybe even beyond what they've learned and maybe help other people here in Greater West Bloomfield as well?
Well, my hope is that it will restore their faith, number one, and because they will have a new practice, daily practice of prayer, because I give instructions on how to use it or an example of how to use it, then they'll be able to plug into daily conversation. You don't have to pray like anybody else. Prayer is just a dialogue. You speaking to God and you listening. And I think the most important part, as I tell my congregation, is the listening part, because sometimes we will rush off. You'll see a quick little prayer and just rush off, but hopefully this will give them a desire and hunger to be able to use these tools every single day beyond just this 21-day journey. As I said, forming a new habit of best practices in their faith and their life, and then they'll be able to inspire others by their own testimony and their own story of how to do that.
Jablani McAllister is with us. He is the author of Hope Beyond Hope, and day by day, week by week, you'll see him as the senior pastor at Covenant Baptist Church right here in Greater West Bloomfield. You'll also be able to see him and get a signed copy of Hope Beyond Hope at the 2025 Black Expo, February 22nd, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Orchard Mall. More information on that can be found on wbparks.org/diversity. Pastor, before we let you go, there's so many messages that will be taken from this book that people will be able to learn by reading it and by talking to you and others in our community about these lessons. Overall, what is your number one message as you release this book and you have hope that people will take away something new that will ultimately lift them up in their day-to-day life?
ultimately, I want them to know that even if the whole world has forgotten about you, God has not forgotten about you. God sees you. God wants you to prosper. And that doesn't mean materially, but just in your holistic self, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. That's the whole point of releasing a work like this, to get people connected to their faith portion. Because a lot of times we operate physically, but we forget about being a whole person, mentally, spiritually.
The book is Hope Beyond Hope. It's available as we speak on Google Play Books, on Amazon, and will be available in person, where you can also get a signed copy at the 2025 Black Expo on Saturday, February 22nd from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pastor Jabulani McAllister, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You as well. Senior pastor at Covenant Baptist Church, Jabulani McAllister, joining us. He is the author, again, of the book Hope Beyond Hope, a 21-day journey that will help you restore your faith and maybe learn some valuable lessons to bring hope back into your life each and every day. Always a lesson to be learned from very wise people across our community. One of our beloved musicians from right here in Greater West Bloomfield is helping to also pass on her lessons to the next generation through jazz and learning. Jessie Poulter has launched Tunesies and talked to our very own Jake Schaff about this brand new project right here on the Splash Live. Take a look.
We have Jessie Poulter, a singer-songwriter right here in West Bloomfield. Jessie, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Really happy to be getting into this. Really love talking about music and great programs like this. So talk about a bit of your influences. How has growing up in West Bloomfield influenced your musical journey and your career choices?
So I grew up in a very musical household, which naturally just being exposed to a wide array of music from a really young age. I was like a sponge, just trying to listen and explore and discover everything. And then I would say getting involved in all sorts of musical theater, community theater. I went to at a middle school, which I believe is no longer. And I was involved in the specialty performing arts programs there. And then ultimately being close to Detroit. I grew up really when I came of age was going downtown, performing in the jazz clubs, performing with the real deal Detroit musicians. So definitely West Bloomfield influence and absolutely undeniably and so gratefully Detroit.
Awesome. I mean, absolutely. Growing up near a city like Detroit, you have access to so much incredible music and so many great influences. And it's awesome to see just what you've been able to take that knowledge and be able to do, because you did create Tunesies. And how do you see that program benefiting children and families in Greater West Bloomfield?
So I started Coonsies when I was living in Los Angeles, which is where I lived for 12 years. And it was during the pandemic when gigs were canceled. My touring had come to a halt. I really sort of need to figure out a way to not only keep my vocal mechanism warm, but also just like as a creative, I'm constantly itching to create. My best friend had just had a baby, and she asked if I would sing to her baby and her baby's pop, which I wasn't familiar with at the time. And I couldn't think of a reason that I should say no. So I showed up, and it was really this aha moment. I just realized that the children's music lane was sort of a wide open creative lane. All of the songs that parents wanted to sing, caregivers wanted to sing with their little ones, the same songs that I sang when I was a child, that parents sang. Wheels on the Bus and Itsy Bitsy Spider as a composer and somebody that grew up studying. I'm a jazz vocalist and a composer, and I really grew up studying the Great American Songbook. So when somebody says standards, that is a very familiar term for me. And I said, who's really updating these, children's standards? And so I was super inspired to, and I'm not only inspired, but like I felt very much a responsibility to sort of nurture this wide open lane. And then when I had my own child, I wanted to create the music experience that I would want my child to have. So fast forward, I am now living back in Detroit. And I have brought my program, which I've been working on and building curriculum for since 2020. I brought it here, and I am so grateful to be teaching pretty much 6 days a week, sometimes 3 times a day, all over Detroit, Metro Detroit, various age groups. And it feels to me like a responsibility, like a calling, but like very organic and inspired. I get such joy having performed for audiences all over the world. It is so joyful to be around human beings at their earliest musical experiences and to be able to experience that through them. Thank you.
Wow, that is all incredible to hear. I love hearing about those aha moments because sometimes they come at the most unexpected of times, and it's great to see how you've been able to take advantage of that. And like I said, you've got some great stuff in the works. You've got an album that's going to be coming out very, very soon, and you've got something called the Jazz ABCs, one of those songs on the album. How does songs like that introduce kids to jazz? And what impact do you hope it has on early childhood music education?
This album that I recorded was recorded in New Orleans, and I really wanted New Orleans spirit to be all over the music. I worked with unbelievable musicians, some of my heroes, and I was afforded the opportunity to record this album through a grant from an organization called South Arts Grant Organization, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate a song that was sort of bridging all of the different influences that have made me the artist that I am. So people still actually, I think one of the number one children's songs is the ABC song, the alphabet song. And it really hasn't been updated. It's been around for centuries. And I was driving to teach one day, and it hit me just like a ton of bricks. The song pretty much fell out of me. I grabbed my phone to record it, and in full, there's actually a video clip that is on my Instagram and my social media of me just like being the conduit of writing the Jazz ABCs, and then recording it with this masterful jazz studio band in New Orleans. It's extremely special. I really think that we captured not only the fundamentals of jazz from like a theoretical standpoint, but also from an execution of the musician's playing standpoint. That it's a top-notch band. One of my favorite saxophonists of all time, Joel Fromm, played on it. It just so happened that he was on tour in New Orleans, and he took a solo. So you're exposing children to improvisation and really all of the instrumentation, orchestration of a jazz group. And these are sounds that are really palatable for little kids, but it's not as common as you would think. So my hope is that kids learn their ABCs through alliterated jazz fundamentals, which is what this song is, while being exposed to like the very authentic jazz.
Awesome. And again, working in an environment like New Orleans, where jazz is in their blood. I mean, that's got to be incredible. And I know you touched on it a little bit, but what was it like being in that environment, and how do you feel that it helped to shape that project?
I think it completely shaped the project. It was very much this serendipitous week of what I believe is capturing lightning in a bottle. Everything just kind of worked out. Even the things that like didn't feel like they were working out in the moment all happened for a reason. And the playful, improvisational, joyful essence of the city of New Orleans is all over this music from start to finish. And that is really the language of children, is play. And that's really the language, music is the language of tunesies, but it's a play-based method. So I felt like we completely accomplished, and all the pieces just sort of fell into place. So I'm so grateful for that. I really felt like we accomplished what we set out to do and more. And it was a wonderful start-finish creative experience.
For those just joining us right now on The Splash, we have singer-songwriter Jessie Palter joining us right now to talk about her many programs that she's doing, and she's influenced by the great work in New Orleans and the Detroit music scene to benefit for her music program Tunesies and her original compositions. In fact, you also, along with the work you do for kids, you also released an album called Nothing Standard, a deeply personal jazz album featuring your own compositions. What was the process in returning to your jazz roots for an album like Nothing Standard?
So I think for a while when I was living in Los Angeles, I just had the desire to explore whatever sort of naturally kind of creatively inspired me. I don't really think of music in terms of genre, but it's a little different with jazz because it's a language that I studied. I went to school for jazz. I was at University of Michigan School of Music as the sole vocal jazz major for my year. And I had gotten away from it a little bit. I was working with a record label and I was releasing stuff in a singer-songwriter lane, which was also very deep personal to me. But when I parted ways with the record label and started reclaiming who I am as an artist, as an independent artist, it was integral to me for that process to also honor my roots as a jazz vocalist. And I had worked with the musicians on that album. I collaborated on the compositions with a longtime collaborator, Michael Jellick, who was my music director for many years, and pianist, and also a bit of a mentor, a teacher. I learned a ton about music and harmony through working with Mike. And it was important to really honor all of the work that we had together. So I released that album, I think, in 2022. And it ended up just really sort of taking off more than I could have anticipated, which I'm so grateful for. And was just really a reminder to like honor who you are as an artist and really trust your own artistic integrity.
Well, happy to hear about all of the success that came from this incredible album. And Jessie, I do want to ask, as you've hopped around quite a bit, you've been in Los Angeles, you've been in New Orleans, now that you're back here in Detroit, how do you see yourself continuing to contribute to the local music scene?
I think being a Detroit musician is so important to who I am as an artist. So no matter where I go, no matter where I've been as a performer, people always say, "Oh, where do you learn to sing with such soul?" And the answer is always Detroit. It's Detroit, and it's musicians that I grew up with, and the teachers that I had that really shaped me, and the experiences in the bandstand that I had that shaped me. Now that I'm back here and really nurturing, who I am as an artist and all of the many facets, I never want to hinder that very innate part of me that is a Detroit musician, which I don't think I ever did hinder, but I just really want to like shine a light on all of the different facets of who I am. And again, feeling a tremendous responsibility to really nurture the future generations, specifically with this Tunesies project. So I am all around Detroit and Metro Detroit, working with kids and really trying to sort of share my passion and my joy and all the tools that I've learned as an artist to help the future generation explore them, who they are creatively, and foster a love of music within them.
Well, it's amazing to hear of everything that you're doing, Jessie. One more quick question before we let you go. How can the West Bloomfield community support your work with Tunesies and your larger musical projects?
Thank you for asking. I am so grateful for the hometown support. I have a website, Tunesies, TUNEZIES.com. And I post all about my classes and my method. People can register through there. I'm also on all the social media platforms. So Instagram, /Tunesies, and Facebook, /Tunesies. And I am now on all the digital streaming platforms with this music as we release song after song every 6 weeks. We're releasing a new single. So Jazz ABC is out, and the next single coming out March 15th. So people can look online at their favorite digital streaming platform, YouTube included, because it is not only an auditory album, it's also a visual album. And so there's an animation for every single song. People can also listen and watch on YouTube at Tunesies, and search on Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music and Deezer and Tidal under Tunesies as well. And on the website as well, there's also an email address to contact me. And this has been just built from, it's been built for the community. It's really like me wanting to be of service with all the tools that I use as a musician and as a lifelong creative professional. So I really love hearing from everybody and getting feedback and just hearing what people want, what they need. It's been integral to building this community.
Well, we can't wait to see what's to come next with your incredible music journey. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today on The Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful chatting, and I appreciate the support.
Appreciate having Jessie Poulter on the program. From right here in Greater West Bloomfield, we had her on years ago. She launched her career, and as she was getting ready to go move out to LA and begin her performing career out there. Now coming back close to home and helping the next generation learn through music. You can find more information on Jessie and her music on Tunesies.com, Tunezis.com. You can find the music on anywhere that you get your music streamed online. And of course, go to her website for more on programs, classes, tour dates, and more that are coming up. In the meantime, join the conversation with us on our social media at Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook, as well as YouTube, X, and Instagram at Civic Center TV. We want to thank you all for joining us today on this edition of The Splash Live. Big thank you to our entire crew, Jake Schaff, Calvin Brown, and Kevin McIntosh. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, this has been The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.